Okay, so now we're looking at the very real possibility that this could be war against us. Is this organized warfare? The issue of abortion and birth control policies affects many different groups, and there are debates about whether certain populations are being disproportionately impacted. Some argue that population control policies, including abortion advocacy, have been strategically used throughout history against specific groups. Others see it as part of a larger cultural and ideological shift that affects all societies, not just one in particular. Right? So, could this be a form of warfare? Right. Demographic decline in Western nations. Many Western countries with European descended populations have below replacement fertility rates. Some argue that policies promoting abortion, birth control, and delayed family formation contribute to this decline. Disproportionate targeting of certain groups. Historical figures like Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, openly discussed eugenics and controlling certain populations. Some question whether these ideologies still influence modern policies. Right. So eugenics. Right. So lowering the birth rate in a certain group of people and promoting births in another group of people. Right. So certainly is a fair question to ask. Are these ideologies still active today? Well, it certainly seems that it could be a reasonable question to ask. So, shifting cultural priorities, a strong emphasis on career independence and child-free lifestyles has become more mainstream, particularly in Western societies, while other cultures still promote large families. Global power shifts. Some believe that Western nations weakening their own populations through low birth rates and high abortion rates make them vulnerable to external influence. Meanwhile, other nations that promote large families continue to grow. Economic and political factors. There are financial incentives behind depopulating certain demographics while encouraging immigration from other regions. This can reshape the cultural and political landscape over time. So you cannot go in any, I'm from Canada, like I said, you cannot go in any Canadian city and even a small town in Canada and see one group of people, right? There are some African guys, there's some Indian guys. And I'm not a racist by any means. If you know me, or if you know about me, you know that I'm not a racist. There's not any kind of hate speech against any kind of certain group or anything like that. Most certainly not. All right. So and it just because I'm talking about the European, I'm not a white supremacist or anything like that. It's very easy for people to say, oh, you're a white supremacist, and why do you hate different political, different cultural ethnicities and all this stuff. This is not putting words in my mouth and all this stuff. I don't hate anybody. I'm not a white supremacist. I'm not a racist. And anybody that will know me will know that that's certainly not the case. So is this a coordinated effort? Yeah. So some believe that abortion, birth control, and anti-family propaganda are being used as tools of population control that disproportionately affect European-descended people in the West. However, others argue that this is part of a broader attack on traditional family structures worldwide, not just one group. If there is an agenda at play, who benefits? The ones who gain from a weakened, demoralized population, whether politically, economically, or ideologically. Now, this is a very nice Reader's Digest about the issue, but in real talk here, who would do this to the white people? And I'm not even going to begin to suggest what the kind of stuff that I was researching here. But I certainly have the answer to that, and you should too. I mean, if you're not blind to the world, you would know that these people here, and that's the thing too. You have to understand that these people, there's a reason that they will organize this kind of coordinated attack against the white European nation, right? Or it's different nations, but white European a group of people, right? This is a race, right? So they are actively attacking one race, and there's a reason for that. We're not going to get into that why and who, but there certainly is, right? So the only thing that I'm talking about is yes. There is certainly a coordinated effort to lower the population of the white European, and and then some will even go further and go with the fringe conspiracy theory that well, there's a complete eradication of the white race and all that stuff. Um, I'm not going to get into that, but certainly if you know who is the people that are attacking the white race, that kind of idea just comes, imagine imagine that idea being true for just a few minutes here. I just imagine the idea that the white the European descended population is completely eradicated from the earth, and that is somewhere where this discussion will eventually lead to. Is it possible that the white European descended race will be completely gone after a number of generations? Some argue 250 years or something like that. Well, I mean that is a fair concern. Right? That is a fair concern. Is it concerning that the white? Well, I don't care. I will be dead and gone. I mean, what do I care, right? Well, it's concerning for people that are reasonable and care about the future of who. Well, my own grandchildren. I do I do not have any grandchildren at this point in time, but I certainly would like to. And then I certainly would like my grandchildren to have grandchildren, and those grandchildren to have grandchildren, and those grandchildren to continue on, and to have grandchildren, just like my grandfather had a grandfather who had a grandfather who also himself had a grandfather. So it's not a reasonable, it's not an unreasonable request or expectation for my grandchildren to have grandchildren who will have grandchildren and so forth. It's not. Bridge, if you will, from the past to the present. But a lot of these people, right, the bloodline stops there, right? A lot of these people, and I know so many people, and just in my class at school, I remember I looked at a picture of my class at school, and there was something like 25% of us had children, right? So for example, 75% of these people have no children. They are childless, whether a man or a woman. 75 people, and I can count on my right hand the amount of girls, right? The girls in my class, the women that have three children or so. I don't even believe it's more than three of these women will have three children. I think three. If I'm mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, it may be four, but I do believe that it's three. And there was all kinds of these girls in my so many girls. I remember going to my class, my class at school, and there was all these girls, girls here and girls there, all these girls. And so imagine that three or maybe four, but I think only three of all these girls will have three children, and I don't think any of the yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think any of them, the men, the boys in my class, have three children or more. Well, except me, I have a whole bunch of kids. So it's just for a lot of people, which is my point, they will not have any children at all. I talked to the mother of a good friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, I'm glad you have children because my kids don't have any children. I don't have any grandchildren." And she's getting old, right? She's not getting any grandkids and all this stuff. And it's not just her. It's not just her. It's a whole bunch of this married Mr. and Mrs. and she had two or three children, one or two or three children, never four, right? So never four. Never four, about one or two or three. And this girl is getting 35, 40 years old, and no children, and then the son is married to this lady, and this lady doesn't have any children, and they're going to grow up without any grandchildren, which is a little bit sad, right? So is this organized warfare? Well, let's say for example you wanted to take over a country, or you wanted to take over a race. Who are the people that want to take over an entire race? All right, there's an answer to that question. It certainly is a part of a larger discussion here, so we're going to end it at that. Thank you very much for tuning in, and let's do better. Let's do better, shall we?